Hi, welcome to another Expert Partner discussion. Today we're joined by Rhiannon, who is the new Director of Sales North America for Atomize, one of our expert partners. Rhiannon's background is hospitality through and through, with a strong background in marketing and general management with some of the world's best-known casino and hotel brands in Asia, Australia, and North America. We thought it'd be interesting to get a perspective on the direction of travel for revenue management and the part an RMS or pricing solution can play from someone who has recently stepped across from the hotel side to the tech side. Really hope you enjoy the conversation. Hey, Rhiannon, thank you for joining us today. Lovely to see you. I really appreciate your time. And before we jump into our topic today, I think it's going to be very useful if you could just give us a bit of an introduction, because you will be combining kind of two thought processes around this conversation. So if I pass it over to you, you give us a bit of an introduction, and then we can go through our topic.
Sounds great, Trevor. Thank you. My name is Rhiannon, and I am the Director of Sales focusing on North America for Atomize, which is a revenue management system. My background is not in SaaS sales. I'm not really a SaaS sales bro yet, but I come from hospitality. Since I was a child, I grew up in a family-owned hotel business, and from then moved into larger hotel, resort, casino type properties, both on a revenue management side as well as operations. So hospitality has been kind of my life until moving to Sweden and joining Atomize. I met our CEO Alexander, who showed me this really cool tool, and I kind of switch lanes when it comes to switch sides, switch lanes. Yeah. So I'm a previous user of RMS software and other hotel tech software, and now I'm on the other side.
You've traveled the world a bit?
A little bit, yeah. So the US and Canada, Macau, Australia, Japan, Hong Kong. I've been in a lot of different markets, which is nice because it offers me, I guess, kind of a unique perspective. I'm able to speak to a lot of different hotel leaders that are in a lot of different situations, and be able to provide some insight based on some of the experiences I've had potentially in their markets.
Yeah, I think that's why we were keen to have the conversation with you. I mean, apart from the fact that Atomize is obviously one of our partners, you've recently joined them, so it's great to meet other people within the team. So we're going to start off with just a very generic question.
Okay.
Drawing from your experience, but looking forward, what do you think? And you can answer this from two ways if you want. It's up to you, either from how you see the skill of revenue management, and also from a technological point of view. But just interested to get your thoughts on what do you see the future of revenue management looking like? And that's a tough question to ask anybody.
Yeah, I think when you think about the future of anything, it's important to understand what the past has looked like. So in the past, or very recent past, or even today, the more traditional revenue management has two extremes, I think. And on one hand, it's the data heavy, I'm going to bathe myself in reports and carry around a lot of Excel spreadsheets and have the data overload. But if you ask me a question about something, I'm going to be able to, find out whatever it is. Yeah. And being in a revenue management meeting weekly with your GM, who sometimes is going to throw out a strange question, does it matter? Maybe not, but by God, I'm going to be able to answer it because I have these numbers. I don't know what to do with them all the time, but they're here. That's one extreme. And then there's the other side where there's the art to it. And I've got a feeling about tonight, and let's do this with the rate, based on nothing scientific other than the feeling that you have.
Gut feel,
Gut feeling. So just what's going to happen, I don't know, let's adjust. So
Well, I
it,
mean, the
it ends up,
merging of the two is, I guess, the ideal.
yeah. So, but looking at it that way, it's more tactical and it's not
Hmm.
strategic. So I think that revenue managers today are, really smart people, but they don't know yet what they don't know. And,
Hmm.
you know, I see the future of revenue management, of course, being taking on technology, not just because I work for a technology company, but um, allowing a machine to do some of the heavy lifting when it comes to formulating prices, that sort of thing, can take the revenue manager out of that terrible circle of just swirling around and doing computations all day, and being able to actually have the time to think strategically about what's going on, because a machine is never going to be able to take that art piece of it. And
Hmm.
some people will argue with me about that, but I do believe there needs to be a human element involved in maximizing a revenue management strategy. So I think that the future of it really involves the technology piece, of course, and then also taking into consideration the trev par rather than a rev par. So that
Right.
total revenue. Um, where else in your hotel are you bringing in revenue, and how can you use that, um, both from a reporting or what's happening now standpoint, to looking forward in the strategy.
And it's interesting you talk about TrevPAR there, because TrevPAR has been, well, total revenue has been spoken about for years and years and
Mm-hmm,
years. And it'd be interesting to kind of picking up a little bit on your, if I put you back on in the other lane when you were the hotelier
mm-hmm,
and on the operational side, profit has been the word that's really come to the forefront since the pandemic. I think it
mm-hmm,
focused our mind a lot more on how much money are we actually making when we were
mm-hmm,
suddenly looking at the costs of running our hotel when we had nobody coming in. Where do you think in that whole, we've got a legacy way of doing something. We've
mm-hmm,
got our RevPAR, we've got our ADR. They're the metrics we look at. We then have total revenue and TrevPAR that people have been talking about for ages, and it's taken a while to come through. And then we suddenly have the profit and the focusing on the profitability. Where do you think
mm-hmm.
that comes into the equation of the future of revenue management? And how did you, from that operational side, was that something that you were ever looking at, or your teams when you were working with were really looking at?
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to say I hope that everybody is looking at it that way. Um, but there is that old adage, putting heads in beds. Um, it doesn't matter, just get the beds filled and things will take
Hmm.
care
Hmm.
of itself. That's not actually true.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, that's basic. We know that there is a level at which it's just not a profitable thing to put people in beds. But I think there's still that feeling, and I will say, especially in casino hotels, there is still that urge to want to do that with the hope, that the person is going to, you know, drop 100,000 on a
Yeah,
table, or
I guess on a
have
casino they're looking at
on the
getting
casino,
their
yeah,
revenue. Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
have extra steaks in the restaurant,
Yeah,
whatever it is that can bring in that revenue. But profitability and doing more with less, I think, become really something that all operators have to keep in mind. And whether that's, um, you think about, oh, I've got to cut labor, but that's
yeah,
going to impact your guest experience.
yeah,
So how can I keep the people that I have, keep them doing the things that are going to actually help me with profitability, rather than doing more of the ongoing calculation sitting in front of a
yeah.
computer that's not going to help move the needle.
And that comes back to your point, doesn't it? That if we've, I think, and it's my follow-up question I'll ask you in a moment, because I think what I always find challenging, interesting, can't think of the right word at the moment, but we've always done it this way. Everyone says we need to evolve and we need to change. We need to be looking at total revenue. We need to be looking at profit. So it's like, okay, good. And there's obviously some challenges to doing that. Otherwise, people would be doing it. But unless you free up time for somebody to look at how can I explore the total revenue, how can I look to explore how can we start to cost certain aspects. If you've got someone stuck with their head in Excel spreadsheets or just pulling reports because that's how the job has always been, that's the way we've always done it, you're never really going to be able to break down and start to look at those other areas. So there is a need to kind of invest in some sort of tool in the way accountants now don't use books, they don't use Excel, they've got software solutions because they're offering more to their clients. So I guess my follow-up question is then, well, if we can see the direction of travel, and we've been seeing it for a while, why do hotel operators still struggle to choose to go for an RMS solution or a pricing solution?
It's a couple of different things. So one of them is that hotel operators often look at adding to their tech stack as an expense rather than an investment. So they're looking at it from that perspective, where this is how much it's going to cost me, but they're not looking at what the potential return is going to be, and how utilizing that is actually going to save them money in other areas. And that's just, from an accounting perspective and managing your budget, it's looked at in that cost column rather than investing. The other reason is, I don't know, in some cases it's a bit of hubris. Like, people don't believe that machine learning or AI can really be as good as they can at doing the thing. I don't think that's often the case, but maybe it's a little bit of fear as well.
Right.
For a traditional revenue manager to think this is going to take my job away or take my team away, rather than this is going to give me the opportunity to look at other revenue streams, to look at other ways to manage revenue that don't sit in this spreadsheet, that don't involve me manually updating room rates several times a day, which is a really common thing, that huge hotels that you wouldn't expect are still doing it that way, and haven't invested in technology. And I think it's those two things that are holding them back.
I guess I'm interested in your take, and probably drawing more on your experience of running operations. So putting that hotelier eye on this question, if you were sitting there now and saying, and picking up your word of investment rather than cost, if you were sitting there and thinking, right, we need to invest to be competitive, we need to invest to be securing the business from our competitors, the obvious answer you're going to give is, okay, we'll invest in an RMS. But putting that aside, is it as simple as that? Where would you be focusing your efforts?
That's a really great question. I think there's really two places that can have the most impact in differentiating a hotel potentially, and that's, as you said, kind of hospitality is back, in that there is a real focus on guest experience now, personalizing guest experience, and of course the technology is super important. An RMS solution is not a silver bullet, though. It wouldn't be able to help everything. Investing in technology from just across the board, getting a really good modern PMS system, pairing that potentially with a BI tool, getting a really good revenue management system like Atomize, that can give you the competitive advantage that way. So that's making sure that you're driving revenue technology wise. But from an operations perspective, I think what hotels need to do is to invest in their people. And what I mean by that is not necessarily, paying more for the same, but investing potentially in training them,
Hmm.
investing in getting, the very best talent that can help lift up the rest of your talent pool.
Hmm.
It's providing your team with um, autonomy, and so that they can create excellent guest experiences for you. It's really the people that you have on the ground that have these touch points with the guests that make the biggest difference. So
Yeah.
investing in them and um, providing an avenue for them to create these really personalized and memorable experiences for guests, coupled with excellent technology, um, real time optimization of room rates, maybe, um, it's going to make a difference. But
Yeah.
investing in the people, investing in the technology, I think, are the two places that hotels really need to be focusing their dollars to differentiate.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think what I took from your message, and and credit to you, you're trying to obviously not do a obvious sales pitch,
No,
despite being in sales.
tongue in
But
cheek.
absolutely. But I think what I took from there is, and from your earlier answer around the art, if we're taking
Hmm.
revenue management, is that the technology is a tool. It's
Hmm.
it's not a replacement. It's
No.
an enabler, and that by and in a way, investing in your people is also investing in technology, because
Yeah.
then you're freeing them up to get more out of the role and to add more value to your property, and probably get more value out of the role that they're performing. Because who actually, I mean, there might be some that want to sit there looking at reports all day, but most people actually would like to be thinking about the guests, thinking about the
Hmm.
hotel, thinking about how they can make an impact, and could often feel frustrated because they're restricted in what they can do, and the technology can free that up. So I think that's what I took from your, that people technology answer at the beginning, but then also the investing piece that you were just talking about there. I guess a final question then, that I would always wonder. I've never been a hotelier.
Hmm.
I sit there, I think, right, so here I am. I've listened to this. I thought, yeah, okay, all right. I've been saying it for long enough. 2024, that's the year I'm going to invest in my people. That's the year I'm going to give them tools to support. Maybe I should be looking at an RMS solution.
Hmm.
And then I go and try and do some research.
Hmm.
And then I find out there are so many RMS providers. Not as many as PMS, but there's certainly a lot of RMS providers. Uh, and this is your sales pitch, right? So without selling at all, but what would you advise? How do I, as a hotelier, work out where I need to be in terms of a solution? What are the things I need to consider? What approach should I be taking when I'm trying to evaluate?
That's an excellent question. And no, Atomize is not a solution for everybody.
Hmm.
It's for a very specific type of hotel, not type of hotel, but I think a very specific mindset and leadership, and mindset and the people that are going to be using the tool. So there's a lot of systems out there. You have to figure out what you want out of the system, and what do you want it to do for you? What does success look like? Is
Hmm.
it automation?
Hmm.
Is it real time pricing? Do you care a lot about what your competitors are doing, or not at all? Do
Hmm.
you, the modern systems now can turn market data into revenue, by driving these optimal prices.
Yeah.
Um, it's forward looking instead of just what happened in the past.
Hmm.
Um, So some hotels want a ton of reporting. Then there's, these systems out there where you actually need to hire someone to run the system,
Yeah.
because they're so robust and
Yeah.
they have so much to them. And that's great. If that's what you want out of it, perfect. There's some that are so basic that if you haven't used an RMS system before in your hotel, it probably will give you a lift, and that's great.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Start your technology path that way. Um, there are, some that sit in the middle, or some that, let me think, some you really have to decide what you want out of it. And
Yeah.
if you are, the type that wants reports, or are you the type that has realized that reports are useless as soon as they're printed because the market has changed?
Yeah.
That, I think, is, if you're able to take a step to understand that and embrace it, that really will dictate what kind of system that you're looking for.
I think for me, I think your point of understanding what you want it to do is obviously the most imperative. And I'd be interested, I have a viewpoint, and I'd be interested in your thought on it, is that just start simple.
Yeah.
Most of the solutions nowadays, and you might not want to comment because obviously this is your business model, but I look at it and think, okay, there are so many ways that if I'm prepared to invest a bit of time in a bit of technology, getting it set up, if it's not working for me in a period of time, I can bin it. And it's not like I used to have to buy a massive system now. That's a huge,
Yeah.
a huge investment. I can kind of dive in and dive out when I need to. And if I get into a solution, I find that I need more to it. Well, at least I've started. At least I understand that maybe what I first thought of, I need a bit more than that, and I can reevaluate, but I've got something that's adding value. Would that be, I mean, is that fair? Is that too simplistic?
No, I talk to hotel leaders pretty often who have not yet tried an RMS solution, and I can tell by speaking with them that they are not ready for, platform X. They're ready for platform A. And I'm not afraid, even though I work for Atomize, I'm not afraid to say you need a platform A, or you need a platform X. And I think it's really, really important, as hotel leaders step into that technology, because there's not that many that are actually using RMS systems. It's important to be honest, and it's important to me to take a consultative approach with the way that I am presenting the technology. I've been in their shoes. I know what it's like. You can be a sell SaaS sales bro, or you can be someone who is trying to build long-term relationships and provide solutions that are really going to change the way that the hotel leaders are doing their jobs and the way their teams are doing their jobs.
That makes a lot of sense. Conscious of your time, so we've probably overstayed our welcome. So we'll wrap it up here. But it was great to meet you. Welcome on board to Atomize, and looking forward to having further conversations with you in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Trevor.
Well, I hope that conversation was of interest, and thanks again to Rhiannon for joining us. If you have any thoughts or views on this conversation, please feel free to comment below. And if you like the discussion, please don't forget a thumbs up. If you're interested in more of our videos, here is a link to our Expert Insights playlist, and here is the link to our Coffee Time Chat playlist. And here is the button if you'd like to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks again for watching.